How you doing,
Oh,
sir?
yeah. Look, victorious. It wasn't tough beating Don Hardy, but look, I will say it was a bit difficult. Yeah, I'm not doing too bad. How are you doing?
I'm doing very good. So we're joined by Aussie Drongo, who of course is going to be one of the main hosts if he doesn't win the tournament. And yeah, pretty excited. Let us know in the chat if you can hear both of those sounds roughly coming through equal. But I think we'll be all right. We've made some been working on this. I think we're good to go. All right. So first of all, thanks for joining, Aussie. Nice to have you here. And what we're going to be doing right now is going through all of the brackets. This is going to be the first look. No one's seen these yet. First of all, before we do that, just to quickly show some facts, and of course, we've actually got Aussie not just casting but participating. So I know this is going to be your first look as well at your own brackets and who you're going to be playing. So
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I just don't want to get put against Marine Lord. All right, you can give me Doubt, give me Viper. Don't not Marine Lord though.
All right. Well,
he's another level.
you're about to find out. So before that, just to give everyone some context on what these seeds look like and what you're going to be looking at, there are 8 brackets of 64 players, right? So that's the structure of how it works. And we're going to go through them one by one. So we're going to take a look at all 8 brackets. Every bracket has 8 seeds because there are 64 seeds. And what that means is from every bracket that we're going to look at in which there are 8 seeds, one of those players is going to qualify for the main event. And one of those players is going to take back a runners-up prize of $500. So if you get knocked out in the final round of qualifying, you'll win $500. So that's a pretty important thing just to bear in mind as we go through these brackets, that the way that it's structured is every time we look at a bracket, it has to be one exact player from that bracket that's going to qualify for the final. All right.
That's kind of scary.
Pretty scary stuff. It gives you an idea that you've got to qualify, you've got to somehow either beat 7 seeds or beat people that have beaten 7 different seeds on the way. So definitely a tall order to get through, but we'll see what happens. Now, as you're about to see, looking at 512 players is a little bit overwhelming, but we've got some tools to assist us, and you'll see that soon. But without further ado, I'm going to press this next button, and it's going to be the first look at the first pool, which of course will include seed number 1, which is Lucifron. All right. And
Excited.
just like that, we have it. We have the first bracket of the tournament, Lucifron, number 1 seed up at the top. Really, this should be showing us. Hold on, if Lord Petito is watching this, maybe do the check the option that shows us the seed number next to each one, because I think that's a settings issue, my friend. You need to press the button, and we'll see the numbers next to each one. Fortunately, in the meantime, we do have a little bit of a visual aid that I'm going to show you here, because as you'll see, if we scan through all of these players, it's going to be very, very long indeed to go through. That is just one of 8 brackets that we're currently scrolling through. So what we're going to do is press this little button over here, and just like that, you see the 8 seeds that are in this bracket. So you've got 4 at the top, 4 at the bottom, and a couple of the more interesting, perhaps, but you might disagree, but the more interesting names that are unseeded. So what that means is, by definition, one of the top seeds has to play, one of the top players has to play one of the bottom players in the final of each bracket. So initial thoughts, I don't know if you want to come in here, but that's the top of the bracket, that's the bottom. If you've got any thoughts about what that might look like at the end. Don Artie, who you've just been playing, of course, right now, seeded number 49. He actually managed to get in through the ranked ladder. That was not an invitational seed from AoE 3. That was a ranked ladder seed. So any thoughts about the strength of this? We can look through it and see some of the matches. We've got Lucifron playing Out Control for his first match. So I'm sure if Out Control is watching this, he probably feeling a bit intimidated by seeing in the right at the top left of the bracket next to Lucifron. What are you thinking, Aussie? What are you thinking?
Look, for Old Control right now, he had his whole life ahead of him. He was ready. He had the whole stream ready to go. He's like, I'm going to smash Genesis, and then round 1 he gets Lucifron. That's not what you call the dream run. That's a bit difficult. But look, it's an incredible bracket. It looks really good. Lucifron in here, Nan Racing Cat as well. So a lot of big legends. Also Winter Gaming, so a StarCraft 2 I think he's a StarCraft 2 Grandmaster, so quite a good player. And then, of course, big Donati is in there as well. So, look, I'm expecting really big things out of Donati. I think he is playing out of his mind right now. And so
we could actually go and take a quick look if you want and see who, like his so we can see his roughly his route. So that's his part of the bracket there. So I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't personally recognize any of the names that are going to be taking him there to the third round. So it looks like he'd probably hope to progress through that. I mean, again, this being a brand new game, we don't know. Some of these might be fantastic players that we've never heard of, and might not be from within the franchise. But you've got to think he'll fancy his chances. Looking at that.
Yeah. So just to clarify, so with what we're seeing on the screen right now, are these all the games that are going to be taking place tomorrow? So there's not going to be any subsequent rounds. It's just going to be these 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds. So
what you'll see? No, there are going to be 6 rounds tomorrow. This is such a big bracket that we have to keep scrolling. Right? That doesn't actually take us quite to the end. This takes us to the quarterfinals of the qualifying. So here you're going to see 8 players down there, but they're going to play 2 more rounds. But you already know by definition who they're going to be up against at that point because it's the same players from the left of the screen. But that is essentially Donati's route to make it to the best of 3s. That's an easy way to think about it. So these are all best of 1s. And if you make it past this game here, you're into the 2 best of 3 rounds.
Right. So just looking, so Don's going to be up against Nan Racing Cat in that round, and that's still a best of 1. Is that right?
That will be his final best of 1 round. We've got 4 best of 1, so yeah, that will be his final best of. I mean, it just shows you how incredibly challenging it is to come through here. But so, I mean, are you predicting to see a Nyan Racing Cat Donati quarterfinal of the qualifiers? Does that look about right to you?
Yeah, I mean, there's some other big names in there. I'm also seeing big Lucas L from Age of Empires 3. Who could potentially do a little bit of an upset. But look, Nan Racing Cat is a very strong player. He's beaten me many times in the beta, as well as in the recent game. So yeah, he's in good form. But look, Donati, he's my pick for this bracket. Even seeing Doubt down there, I know Doubt is our Lord and Savior, Lord Doubt. But Donati is looking incredible.
Well, that's a huge call. So you're not just calling Donati from this half. You're calling Donati to make it to the main event through this bracket. That's correct. A huge call. Wow. Well, to beat Lucifron, you're saying to make it through the entire bracket to the main event. You're calling Donati above Lucifron. Just to be clear on this prediction.
Look, I'm not going to say above Lucifron. I'll say that Don meets him in the final of this bracket.
All right, that's going to... Remember that, right? Aussie's prediction, the big prediction from the main caster is to see Nyan... Well, the joint main caster, I should say, with Lidicor, who I believe is watching as well, is going to be joining him. Tomorrow we'll be casting the qualifiers and we'll be joining Aussie together to co-cast the finals. The big call is for a Lucifron Donati final. Calling out Donati to beat Doubt in that bottom bracket. Huge call. All right. I think we can move on to the second bracket. The call has been made for this one. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to pool number 2 and see what we've got. And with that, this one, of course, we've got Marine Lord, the number 2 seed. So the top left is always the top seed. So the Marine Lord is the number 2 seed. If I refresh this, is it going to show me the numbers? Doesn't really matter because we've got them on the right. Luckily, it doesn't matter. Right. We've got Marine Lord in the top left, heading up this bracket. And if we press this button, we're going to close that and we're going to take a look at the big names in this part of the bracket. So there you go. We've got, again, I mean, every bracket's loaded, right? I mean, just by definition, there are so many good players playing in this event. Here we've got, Marine Lord, again, pretty strong. We've got Brew from AoE 2, if I'm correct. Then Nilly, of course, big content creator, and I think rapidly becoming, among the better players of AoE 2 as well. And then bottom of the bracket, Soldier heading up the AoE 3 represent. And again, another bunch of good players. And unseeded, interestingly, we've got Cyclops, which is pretty interesting because I think the reason I put that note there is he meets, so Cyclops, who is, I believe, a kind of top 30 AoE 2 player, young and up and coming, doing very, very well recently, just made it to the last 32 in the King of the Desert qualifiers, and he's coming up against the number 18 seed in the first round, so that just shows you the danger of playing a low seed. What are you thinking here? Yeah,
that's exactly it, isn't it? Like, you've got a seed 18 who just, manages to get up against Cyclops, who happens to actually be, an Age of Empires 2 pro as well. So that is, it looks promising for Marine Lord. I think he's an incredibly talented player. I would be very surprised if he wasn't the one to go through for this bracket. I mean, there's obviously a couple of huge names in here as well. Seeing Soldier from Age of Empires 3, Probe from StarCraft 2 is in it here as well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what the StarCraft 2 guys are going to be able to do. These guys have got absolutely insane APM. Marine Lord himself coming from StarCraft 2 as well, and seeming to adapt quite well. But yeah, as you mentioned, we've also got Nilly in there. Nilly definitely one of the up and coming. I think he's been a little bit slow to adapt, or not adapt, but adopt Age of Empires 4. I did note that he wasn't playing as much as the other GL guys, but I know that he's definitely been picking it up recently a lot more. So it's good to see from him. But yeah, I think at the moment it would definitely seem to me like a Marine Lord would be very safe as a bet. And then on the bottom side of the bracket, I think Soldier as the top seed there would be a likely one as well. How about you? How are you feeling about it?
Well, I mean, one thing that I love doing here is that if you look through this bracket, it's just incredible, even without thinking about who are necessarily the favourites, just to see this mixture of known kind of names from AoE 2 and StarCraft all mixed in together with, all the other parts of the franchise and people we've not heard of. You just look through this and so many of the names, you just immediately know Robbo, well-known member of the community, Mario Val, a huge content creator, John Slow, AoE 2 commentator. It's just absolutely loaded with people that are wanting to play. So that's exciting. In terms of prediction, I guess it's not. Pilsen, another community a member and a content creator. So, I mean, personally, I think Soldier is very, very talented. Of course, bit biased, maybe coming from the AoE 3, but I mean, you're the one I think that's going to have to make a call about who you expect to see in the final of this. In the final list, I think you've said Marine Lord. You think is going to make it through. I think to the final. Who are you expecting there from the bottom to join? Are you going for the top seed again? Top seed versus top seed?
Look, I think Soldier's pretty safe, but I do see that Corix is in his bracket, and if there's one kryptonite to Soldier, it's got to be Corix, because Corix, he's from the Age of Empires 3 community, and he walls like crazy. So I'd love to see him up there sort of making his way, but look, Soldier is looking very strong at the moment as well. So yeah, curious to see exactly how he does. I think that's going to be the call, the safe bet. I don't know too much about Archer's MyCat or Dinky King, so unfortunately can't really comment on those guys. So I'm just going to go with the safe bet. I'm going to go with Soldier.
Archer's MyCat seems that might well be the pronunciation. I have spent, when going through and adding stuff over the last couple of days, I have spent 2 days repeatedly saying Archsmichcat, like trying, and I just realised that is almost definitely the right way to say it. So, I mean, Arch is, whatever it is, certainly has, I mean, look at that route he's got. So not only does he have Cyclops, who you would not expect, he then runs into another unseeded Corix. I mean, he's running into two very, very good unseeded players. So the call is Marine Lord versus Soldier, and who are you calling to win that match?
Marine Lord.
Lord to win it. We're going to take notes about this. We're going to see. We're going to cycle back and see how well you've done on this. So Aussie's call for the second pool is Marine Lord to beat Soldier. All right, I think we can move on to the third pool. What do you reckon?
Let's do it.
All right. And here, third pool, which means it's headed up by the third seed. Let's change what we're seeing here. Headed up by the third seed, Vortex. And I think you'll really like this bracket, looking at it straight away.
This is good.
Oh, the unseeded player, that is wrong. Cyclops should not still be there. That's a duplicate issue. So ignore Cyclops. He was in the last bracket. And look at this one. I mean, is this the most loaded bracket so far?
Yes. I'm looking at this. I'm like, this is stacked. I know every single one of these players. I would not want to be in this bracket. Wow. Okay, so Vortex obviously being third seed. Looks likely to make it through, but going to be going up against stiff competition. Backed an Age of Empires 2 pro. The Sniper, also an Age of Empires 2 content creator. Jordan down towards the south. I mean, we can talk about the top, but I guess my big focus is Vortex and Hazza. I know that Hazza has been playing a lot of Age of Empires 4 recently. Has been doing a lot of practice as well. So
has it come a bit too late?
What he's going to be.
Do you think he's going?
That's my fear. That's my fear. You know, a lot of these guys have had a pretty decent jump start on him. So yeah, hopefully he's going to be able to lift it up. Already we start to see, people like Viper, who have now reached rank 3, rank 4 on the ladder. And I think had Hazza gotten his, gotten a head start as well, I think he would be up there right now as well. So I think it's just a matter of time until we see him start to hit those sort of single-digit ranks. But the tournament may be a bit soon for him at this stage. But yeah, I'll say keep your eye on Hazza, see how he performs.
I mean, we'll take a
Vortex
little
definitely looks to be
closer
the
look.
favourite.
Let's see, how bad is that route? I mean, who's he going to run into? I mean, he makes it to this round without too many. I mean, Bact is the potential opponent here in the last best of one. I think Bact is he's been playing for a while, right? Pretty well rated player.
There's a couple players, even though in that lower bracket or in that bracket that he's in, there's Nerazim who's quite good, Farmman Official who's quite good, Part-Timer who's quite good. I think Part-Timer is a top 50 player at the moment.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he's got a difficult bracket to get through.
So are we calling this? Is this the group of deaths? Are we calling this the group of death so far? Is this the?
Yeah, definitely so far. This is looking like the group of death so far.
And we've got Blade 555, 555, of course, not just 5/5s, but 6/5s. Curiously,
wait, are there 6/5s? And he's going up against Tit in that first round as well from Age of Empires 3.
Oh, so he is. That's a tough. That's going to be a hard game.
Yeah. So for anybody unfamiliar with Blade 555, he's actually one of my old school clan mates from Age of Empires 3 back in 2007, 2008. We used to play in the Lost clan together. So we go way back. We're really good friends. So I've got my eye on him. Do I think he's going to tip Vortex over? Probably not. Vortex is very solid, but Blade is an incredibly good player as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that. Well, Jordan is also there.
Jordan's
as well,
there, and I think he's been playing, and I think he's pretty good. And then we're not even talking about some of these other players that got in through the ranked ladder. So I mean, like Kama and FTW Cheese, and these aren't even the names we're necessarily having at the tip of our tongue, but they're there through the ranked ladder. So I mean, they've been showing something. So I mean, it's definitely very, very stacked. You're gonna have to make a call though. So let's start with the top half of the bracket, because for posterity we do need to know all of your predictions. Top half of the bracket. I mean, good luck.
I'm going to go with Vortex in the final. Look, I think it's going to be tough for Hazza to do it, but I've got my faith in the kid. I think I think if he can pull his finger out in the next 24 hours and really nail down some builds, he could look really strong.
So that's what you're calling for the top. The top, you think we're going to get Vortex and Hazza. So, but you think Vortex is going to prevail, I'm assuming. And then from the bottom of the bracket, what are you saying?
I really wouldn't be surprised to see something like Cheese up against Blade. Even though Jordan is obviously an incredibly talented player, I'm not sure how well he's adapting at the moment to Age of Empires 4. I know initially it looked like he was taking a bit of time to sort of adapt, so I'm curious to see exactly where he's at now. But I think that he's probably going to be a safe bet. Obviously, he's the higher seed in the bottom side, but definitely I'm going to say Blade and we'll go with Jordan. And I suspect that Blade actually might come out on top, but... We'll see.
So you're going. The official call you're making is Blade versus Vortex, and who are you calling to win that one then to make it to the main event?
It's going to be Vortex.
Vortex to beat Blade in the final, make it to the main event. I also just noticed here we've also got Chart, who's playing Vortex in round 2, who's a really, really good player. I mean, this is so stacked. This is unbelievable. This bracket. Wow. If you're finding yourself in pool 3, enjoy that. Good luck with it. Have fun. It might be you can make plans for the afternoon if you're in pool 3. You don't need to don't keep too much of the day free. All right. Let's close that off. We're going to bracket 4, which is headed by Recon, and we'll take a little look at the guys that we've got representing this bracket. And I think it's going to be another reminder of just the amount of talent all around here, although maybe not quite as deadly as the previous round. Pool 4, got Recon heading it up. Project Belgium, very, very promising and up-and-coming AoE 2 player. Nushelbear, of course, one of the very best AoE 3 players, running who got in through the ranked ladder. And then we've got in the bottom, again, Capocha, really, really talented AoE 2 player who got in through the ranked ladder. So that is actually, again, these AoE 2 players, they did have invitational seeds, the professional level players, but many of them didn't use them and actually qualified far above. Cyver, StarCraft 2 player, of course, qualified, again, through the ranked ladder. That wasn't through an invitational. What are you thinking? First thoughts of this bracket?
Yeah, once again, I mean, you see Recon up there, another huge name, incredibly talented. He's going to be going up against Serotonin, an Age of Empires 3 creator, in the second round. And then I also see Rod Limitless down there, another Age of Empires 3 creator. But look, this bracket is it's bordering on a death bracket as well. Recon, Project Belgium, Canushel Bear. Capok.
You've got
Scyther
Adney
as well.
down here, unseeded, who I think you've played a few times, and he's a pretty good player, right? As well, unseeded.
Yeah, he is, and he's actually going up against Bonjour Honor as well. This is just the amount of names that are in this tournament is absolutely insane. These guys are absolutely huge. This is wild. There's just so many big names in here. It's absolutely crazy. Yeah, Adney's another great player. Big fan of the Rus. Adney is so.
Wow. So we're going to see a few civs here. To give you an idea of this, I mean, we had, of course, this bracket is completely full. 512 players, a triple-digit waiting list in the end of. So I mean, a lot of people wanting to participate. I think so many names here. Orc, that's a familiar name. Where's that name coming from? That's a name I've seen around a few of these players. I think you might have played him on stream.
Yes, Urk, yes.
Urk.
Yeah, I played against him on stream.
Gonna guess is Swiss from that CH. Some really we've got Puggo play down there. Some Pilos, more content creators. What's it gonna be? Top of the bracket. Let's start with. What are you thinking from the top of that bracket?
Yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say that Recon should be able to get through here. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see an upset throughout the day where somebody gets knocked out in round 1, round 2, round 3. Doesn't scout the Rams on time or something like that. But I think that Recon's going to be quite solid. I would expect that we would see Knuschelberg go quite far as well. He's adapted well to Age of Empires 4, I would say. But I'd also be on the lookout for Project Belgium, an incredibly strong Age of Empires 2 player as well. So yeah, a lot of talent in here on the top side.
So, but you're calling Recon to go through the top of the bracket?
Yeah.
And bottom of the bracket. Scyther, of course, they're a very, very talented StarCraft player. What are you thinking?
Look, my call at the moment is Capok. He has, or Capoch, I'm not sure exactly what the best pronunciation is there. Just primarily because on the ladder, he has made a significant climb. So I think at the moment he's currently sitting at rank 3 on the ladder. And yeah, he's done very well in the last 24 hours. He's looking on fire. So I would expect to see Capok advance through. Nakamura's in there as well. I don't know who Mulfar is, but I mean, he is seeded. But yeah, I suspect that we're probably just going to see Capok versus Recon. And to be honest, I genuinely don't know who will win between those two players. That is going to be a very fair fight.
I mean, that's just, isn't it? It's unbelievable that we're talking about, like, we're kind of glancing over players like Mulfar that we've not heard of, but these guys were like top 20, 25 of the rank ladder, like having played more than 25 games. So I mean, we just don't know what's going to happen. Some of these names could come from nowhere, and so that's interesting that you're actually calling Capoch to beat Scyther. That's interesting to me. I think a lot of people have Scyther very, very well rated for this. Just maybe that advantage of being a professional kind of StarCraft player and the APM and the experience of kind of playing in that environment. But you're calling Capoch to beat Scyther in the last round of the bottom, and then Capoch versus Recon. What are you going to say? If you get all of these right, then we'll if every single one of Aussie's predictions are right to make it through their bracket. Right, you can say this. I'll give away 10 copies of AoE 4 during the finals because it's not going to happen. But if he does,
make it 100. Make it 100, Pesty. Make it 100 then.
No, I mean I think the odds are just so. I mean, I believe the odds are dramatically low of that happening. But you're gonna have to make a call. Right, who's making it to the final? Recon versus Capoch. Who's it going to be?
I'm going to say Capoch. I think he's going to have the upper hand. But look, I definitely wouldn't count Recon out. If I was sitting there, like doing the stats, I'd say Recon 49%, Capoch 51%. That's what I'd say. So yeah, really looking forward to watching that bracket. That's going to be huge.
But Capoch is the call. All right. So we've got Capoch. So we're going to go into bracket 5. Just quickly before I go on to bracket 5, I'm putting the link in the chat to the Discord. So for those of you that don't know, we've got the main event on the 13th and 14th. Hopefully, if Aussie doesn't win it, hopefully going to be casting it. But straight after that, on the 16th, we've got our first show match, which is going to be $500 every single week. A winner stays on series. The first match is going to be Viper versus Marine Lord, and there are going to be so many more of these type of events going to be announced in the coming weeks. There's going to be, I can tell you now, there's going to be 4 events in December that are going to be announced soon, adding up to over $10,000 of prize pools. We're going to announce a schedule soon, but they're all on the Discord. Like, So many people messaged having missed out on this event, and that's because that was basically where we were first doing it. So do follow if you want to know the events that are going to be going on. All right, pool 5. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Now, I have a feeling before I click this that pool 5 you might find to be quite an important one. So I don't know if that gets the old heart pumping or not. But I think part 5 you'll enjoy.
All right, I'm looking forward to it.
Top Khan is the number 1 seed here, and we'll take a little look, and you can tell me whether or not you're afraid or relishing the prospect. Here we go. That's Pool 5, featuring a fledgling content creator by the name of Aussie Drongo in the top of the bracket, seeded number 37.
Oof. That looks tough. That looks very tough.
I mean, everyone is tough. Every bracket is tough. So I mean, we've got to be relative to the rest of them. Everyone's tough. Have you played all of these guys yet in AoE 4? Have you played all 3 of them?
No, I don't actually think I've played any of these 3 guys. I haven't seen Slam on a lot. I've seen Khan on plenty. I woke up one day and he was just sitting at rank 1 on the ladder. I'm like, oh, okay. What happened there? And then I realized it was the TC strategy. So looking forward to what Top Khan's going to be able to pull out with his world-famous Mongols. I'm suspecting I'm probably going to be going up against him in a best of 1.
You're talking about slams, so we can take a little look and see exactly
Top Khan.
Top Khan. No, you're not going to be playing him in a best of 1. You would play him in a best of 3. Yeah, you're not in the same part of the bracket as him. So we take a look at Top Khan. Top Khan goes over here to AW and AX. So he would play Slam. That's a lie. He wouldn't play Slam. He would play Faye. Slam is your potential seeded best of 1.
Right, okay. Yeah, so going to be a 1v1 against Slam. So, yeah, exciting. I mean, it looks pretty good. Top Khan is an incredibly good player. Slam also, obviously, in Age of Empires 2 Pro. So it's going to be difficult to try and overcome them. But I'm more concerned about the bottom side because there is one big name in particular that is getting me a little bit sweaty. I'll say that much.
All right, but from the top of the bracket, that bottom one looks extremely exciting. I'm going to get there. From the top of the bracket, what are you calling? Are you calling yourself? Are you backing Aussie Drongo to make it?
Look, I would expect, I would hope to be able to overcome Slam. I think it's going to be a difficult ask, but yeah, we'll give that a go. And then I suspect I probably won't beat Top Khan. He's an incredibly talented player. So I would expect that he would be able to come out on top over me. So I'm not calling it for myself there. Definitely not.
So you're calling Top Khan to make it through. You're calling Top Khan to beat you in the last round of the top bracket. That's the call.
Correct.
Yep. All right. You got to back yourself. I don't know how I feel about that. You got to back yourself. If you're not going to back yourself, Aussie, who's going to back you if you won't back yourself? All right. Bottom of the bracket. Top Khan will back you. We're gonna straight after this. We have a bracket preview show featuring Top Khan, and we'll see what he's got to say about bottom of the bracket. This is, I mean, they're all loaded, but I Am Magic and Hera, that's pretty rough. I think both of them are going to feel a bit rough about that. What do you Z, I think, if I remember correctly, I think they're both ladder entries here, Eerie and ZG Light, but I mean, that again, really, really stacked. I mean, thoughts?
Yeah, it's I Am Magic, a very talented player. Hera, I think that's probably the one that you want to keep the eye on. I do suspect Hera will come out of this bracket probably unscathed, with the exception of maybe a potential ram rush here or there. I think everybody's always very cognizant of the fact there may be a ram rush that they don't scout and it comes in and just hits them. But yeah, I think Hera should be able to take this one out.
All right, so you're calling Hera to make it through the bottom, and we've got Hera versus Top Khan. What are you calling?
Is it a best of 5?
That's a best of 3. It's a best of 3.
A best of 3?
So they've got 2 best of 3s, yeah. So you're calling... So Hera is your call to make the main event?
Yep.
All right, that's an interesting one. So you reckon... So Top Khan beats Aussie Drongo in a best of 3. That's still a best of 3. And then Top Khan goes through and loses to Hera. Of course, just to remind you, the losers of that round will still take that $500 for their day's work. All right. Time to move on to bracket number 6. Making some headway through these, so you can go back to. Did you beat Donati in that last game?
I did, yes, I did. I can go back to beating Donati.
Go back to beating Donati. All right, number 6, headed up by Panda Bear Me, who I'm slightly less familiar with, but you might be more familiar with. We're going to open up that bracket and take a look at the players that we've got here. I've got some thoughts on this one personally.
Well, let's have a look.
Interested to see.
I like the number 50. Is 54 legitimately named Noob, or have
54
you just typed
is
in?
legitimately named Noob, and it's like it's like, so I mean, to give people a bit of background on the kind of behind the scenes work we did to avoid smurfing and all that kind of stuff. I mean, whoever Noob is signed up through the tournament software as Noob. He's on the rank ladder as Noob. He is Noob. So I mean, like, you're suspicious when you see names like that, but these ones got a lot of extra research, let's say, but for as far as we can tell, Noob is Noob. So I mean, he's fine, and he got in through the rank ladder, so he's certainly not bad. We can say that much. Although he is finding himself running into Striker, which I don't think anyone wants to run into too early. We'll start at the top though. Thoughts on the top? I think it's fair to say. I mean, Sam Wise got seeded through AoE 3. Not sure in the end how much he's been playing AoE 4. I don't know. I mean, he might have been. Not sure. Casva, who, I mean, I saw yesterday, raced up the ladder, was momentarily number 1 overall. What are you thinking?
Yeah, this is actually looking pretty stacked as well. I mean, there's a lot of good players in here. As you mentioned, Samwise, one of the best players in Age of Empires 3, but I don't know how much Age of Empires 4 he's actually played. Casva as well. An incredibly good player. I think we actually saw him on the ladder sitting at about rank 4 or 5 yesterday. So, yeah, very excited to see him go up against Panda Bear Me, who, if I remember correctly, is from StarCraft, so quite a decent StarCraft 2 player. So I would suspect that we'd see those two coming up through. But I'm curious, when do they actually face each other? Are they going to be at the top of the bracket? Or are they going to be at the top of the top bracket? Or
wait, you're talking about Panda Bear and Casva, right?
Yeah.
So they will play each other at the end because they're the 2 top seeds in the bracket. So these are actually listed in the order of their seeds, top to bottom, but it's inverse. So Panda Bear gets Black Widow because top gets bottom, right? So if we look for there you see Black Widow there, and that's his guy. Black Widow is essentially at the top of the next bracket, so Panda Bear versus Black Widow, and then Casva would get Sam Wise. So I mean, I reckon you'd fancy Casva's chances certainly of making it to the last of those games. What are your calls? Who are you calling to make it through the top of this bracket?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be quite close between Casva and Panda Bear. Initially, I was a bit concerned with Casva. He seemed to be a little bit slow to be picking up Age of Empires 4 and transitioning over, but it seems like he's really found his stride recently. So I'm really excited to see what he's going to be able to pull out. Panda Bear, I don't know too much about him, but I would probably say going into this, just the fact that he's sitting on seed 6, that he's going to be the safe bet here.
All right, so we're putting Panda Bear to go through the top of the brackets. I should also notice that we've got Mr. Bramboy who's in chat. Who has he found himself? Ziggy. He's going to run into Black Widow off the ladder in this round here. Also, this one, I should mention, has got Dark, a very talented player who is unseeded. And he's going to reach Casva over here. So that's also pretty notable. Bottom of the bracket. What are you thinking?
Yes. Yeah, that's another big one. Really stacked. Tato, Mr. Yo, and Striker are just huge players. I don't know too much about Mr. Yo and how much he's been playing Age of Empires 4. I know that in Age of Empires 2, though, he's an absolute beast. So if he's able to make that transition across, he's going to be fine. When it comes to Tato, no question about it. He has absolutely made that transition across. We saw him at rank 3 earlier today on the ladder. So highly likely that he's going to be coming out, taking this one from the bottom bracket. I would be putting my money very safely on Tato. Even so much, I would say that he would take out the entire 6th bracket and go through to the main event.
Oh wow, you're calling Tato to beat. So in the end, you think did you say Casva or Panda Bear? I think you said Casva, right, to make it through the top.
I think Panda Bear.
Panda Bear. So you're going for Tato to beat Panda Bear in the final round of this bracket.
Correct, yeah.
Of course, one thing we don't know is the likes of, I mean, again, I saw Striker was doing very, very well earlier. I'm not sure if he sustained it or not, but one thing that should be, players like Mr. Yo, we've not seen them on the much on the ranked ladder or the unofficial ranked ladder of AoE 4. But I guess we don't know if they're just playing custom lobbies and just dominating. All of these guys, of course, are playing for esports teams. If they're taking it seriously, they might just rock up and absolutely dominate. I mean, we just don't know.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I mean, you're 100% right. We do see Tato climb up the ladder to rank 3, but, Striker could be sitting there playing games constantly back and forth with Lucifron or Hut or someone, really up there. So, it's one of those things that I guess we don't have enough information about it just at the moment. But from the evidence that we've got, I think I'll stick with Tato for now.
All right, calling Tato to go through. If I was more well prepared, I would have made a little thing like to write. We'll listen back for posterity afterwards. All right, pool 7. Pool 7. Let's close off pool 6. Pool 7, of course, is headed by the Mister, which is one of the really, really big names. Again, these are all through the rank ladder, the top 8 seeds. It's worth remembering. In fact, the top 16 seeds, are all through the rank ladder to make it pretty fair. And there we are. I mean, we go wow whenever this pops up on the right, because everything is wow. I mean, all of the talent's just like stupid. I thought I wasn't necessarily expecting, because I didn't know that he was playing the game. But interestingly, Minimal, who of course you know very, very well from AoE 3, he qualified through the rank ladder. That wasn't an AoE 3 spot. So I mean, some guys that was a rank ladder qualification. So just look at the amount of talent you've got there in the top of that bracket. I mean, I'm going to guess that you're fancying the Mister, but we've got, in fact, this one, I think, the Mister is an AoE online player, correct?
Correct.
So,
and Age of Mythology.
So that means that in this top of the bracket, if I'm correct, we've got the top bracket with the seeds coming from AoE 0, AoE 2, StarCraft, and AoE 3. All 4 seeds coming from totally different games, which is just awesome.
Yeah, that's absolutely wild, isn't it?
It's just like, when's the last time? That's I think what's kind of special about like a completely new game. Like, where do you ever see the seeds coming from completely different games? What are you calling, first of all, top of the bracket? Let's hear your thoughts.
So when it comes to these players, I'm very familiar with 3 of them. Vivi is the one that I'm not familiar with. I know he's from Age of Empires 2, but I don't know too much about him or his play style. The Mister, incredible player, very well-rounded, just a very reactive player and always one step ahead of his opponent. So my tip would be on him to be able to take out the first half, because he's going to be up against Minimold, rank number 58, who, once again, I'm very familiar with him and his playstyle. Top 10 Age of Empires 3 player, really, really strong there as well. But I didn't actually realize he was playing Age of Empires 4 that seriously. I didn't think there were that many of us, but looks like, yeah.
Either did I till we were looking through the seeds. I had no idea either. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then obviously there's also Iago's in there. So he is a StarCraft 2 player. I played way back with him. I actually played in the closed beta of StarCraft 2 when it came out. He was one of the few other Australian players that was actually decent enough to give me a good run for my money. So back then, he was better than me. I'd say probably now he's still better than me, but I don't think he's going to be good enough to take down the Mister.
All right, so that's okay. So you're calling, all right. So you're calling the Mister to beat Iaguz in the, because they'll play in the final they're potentially in the final of the top of that bracket. And we'll go down. Okay, that's an interesting call. Don't forget, 10 games, $600 worth of AoE 4 on the line. If you can pull this through for the community, don't let everyone down. Bottom of the 7th bracket, and we've got this one headed up by, and this one looks really, I mean, they all do, but this looks really, really stacked. Headed up by Fuser from the rank ladder, the 10th seed overall. Viles, really, really strong AoE 2 player. I mean, all strong players. What are you saying?
Yeah, there's a huge amount of talent in here. I see a couple of other guys from Age of Empires 3. I think we see Inferno Extreme there as well. But yeah, Viles, I haven't seen him playing too much. But to be honest, I haven't really been looking that much out for him. My pick actually here is not Fuser. It's not Vodka. It's not Viles. It's actually Matthias. This guy he's sitting at seed number 42, but I tell you what, you need to keep an eye on this guy. He is 100% a favorite for the tournament in my eyes.
Wow.
This guy is incredibly talented, great at thinking outside the box, really on the, when it comes to the meta and the way it curves, he is ahead of the curve constantly. So I'm incredibly excited to be able to watch Mattias play it and see how he goes through. And I would expect that he would be able to take out that bottom side. Now, I don't know too much about Fuser. I think I played up against him once or twice, but he does have that 10th seed. And if I do remember correctly, you did say the top 16 all got through from the ranked ladder. Is that correct?
It's the top 20 seeds were from the ranked ladder, yep. So
right,
all the 16, yeah.
Yeah, so Fuser definitely, doing very well. But Mattias is, I've got a feeling that this guy is really going to take it to the next level. He seems very serious about Age of Empires 4 from what I've seen from him. So I would expect him to be able to take out the bottom bracket. It's going to be a good question about who takes out bracket number 7, though, because the Mr. versus Mattias, that is truly going to be a battle of skill. And I'm a little bit fearful for the Mr. that Mattias may be his kryptonite. But look, I think the Mr. is quite a safe bet when it comes to this. And keeping in mind the fact that there's those 10 games on the line, I'm going to have to go with the Mr. here.
The Mr. to beat Mattias. So is that, are we going to put that one down in the diary for a real kind of a blue ribbon event?
Oh, yeah.
The Mr. versus Mattias.
Yeah, can we make sure you put that one in. Set a reminder, an alarm.
Yeah, all you have to do in order to be casting that is to please lose to someone. So otherwise you'll be if not you'll be taking everyone through it. All right, awesome. So again, another really, really interesting one. The official calls are the Mr. to beat Mattias. I see Nush in the chat asking who are going to be his first victims. You'll have to go back. We've already gone through that one, Nush, I'm afraid. But watch the video back. You'll find who your victims will be. And finally, we're going to go to Pool A, and I'll quickly just take away that visual aid. And I think Pool 8 is going to be a bit of a fan favorite one because the 8th
there's a very notable name.
8th seed was a pretty well-known name, and I think there might be some gasps about some of his some of the matches he's got facing him. And we're going to bring up the visual aid, headed up by none other than the Viper, heading up seed number 8, top left of the screen, who maybe he's seed number 8, but certainly been playing above the level of seed number 8 in the last couple of days since the seeding snapshot was done. Rapidly shot up the ladder, been, I think, pretty perilous form. Gonna bring up our little visual aid here. And there you see that the Viper has found himself into a really, really difficult situation. Now, before going through it, if you take a little look at the bottom of the screen there, so now I had a little glance at a mini tournament hosted by Turin yesterday, in which, on the way to winning it, Simtom beat Mixu, ACCM, and Adney, all top players. And not only that, but Mixu and ACCM are the 2 seeded players in the top of the bracket, and the unseeded Simtom beat them both, and he's now potentially playing Viper in round 2. So if the Viper was intending on kind of like warming up slowly, getting in some practice, you know, having an easy ride, he is running into a horrible situation in round 2, potentially, judged at least on the tournament that was played yesterday, this mini event, potentially the toughest opponent in the top of the bracket. He's actually playing in round 2 before even getting to ACCM and Mixu. So, all right. I mean, I'll let you take over from there. What are you saying about that?
Yeah, I think that's incredible. The fact that that Simtom beat Mixu and ACCM, and then they are the seeded player in his bracket. And yeah, it's that was the very first name I saw. I saw Viper, and then I saw Simtom. I said, "Oh gosh, already? You know, round 2, Simtom's going to be there." Simtom's incredible. Very strong English player. Loves the English. Loves a little bit of a longbow spam. Likes to just sort of sit back and play it very defensively. So who knows whether he could be the true counter to Viper, but I do expect that he should be able to overcome it. Obviously, there's quite a lot of talent as well looking down towards that bottom bracket, but in the top bracket, I do think that Viper should be absolutely fine going up against any potential threats in here. I don't know too much about Renion, but with regard to ACCM, I do expect that Viper shouldn't have too many issues taking him out and should go through successfully at the top of the bracket.
You're expecting ACCM to beat Mixu, so you're expecting to make it through to the end of that to play Viper?
Yeah, I would expect ACCM to take that one out.
All right, so you're calling Viper to be ACCM. That's the matchup it would be in the final of the top side of the bracket. And the bottom, headed up by none other than a Mr. Zerton, very, very talented player as well. We've also there, look, I just saw just ahead, we've got two in there, a content creator. Zerton, heading this one up, I see there an Eagle getting a shout out. What do you reckon?
This is a very tough bracket, a really tough bracket. So Vinchester, AoE2 Pro, Zerton, an incredibly talented player as well. My actual bet here is on Hut, though, who's sitting at seed number 41. So a fellow Australian here, so I'm a little bit biased, but this guy has been practicing a lot in customs, so his real rank isn't going to be reflected in the rankings. And I would expect to see Zerton and Hut going up against each other, and I really think that it's a difficult call to make between those two players. I'd probably say Hut should edge him out ever so slightly, though. I don't know who Eric is, but obviously being rank or seed 56, pretty decent.
That's a ladder seed, 56, yeah.
Yeah, and then with regard to Vinchester, I don't think he's been playing too much Age of Empires 4, or at least I haven't seen him on. I haven't really seen his name around. Oh, actually, no, I take that back. I've seen him in a couple team games. That's about it. But I'd have to do a little bit more of an inspection, see where he's at. But I suspect that Hut and Zerton should be able to handle Vinchester and Eric. And then, I would go with Hut over Zerton. And then I think that leaves the top of the bracket versus the bottom of the bracket, which would be Viper up against Hut. And that would be... it's going to be... like, we're going to need to set a timer for that one as well. But I'm almost guaranteed to go with Viper on that one just because of how well he's been playing. He's in incredible form. Keep in mind, we've only got the evidence that's before us right now. If Hut had been playing more ranked, who knows exactly what rank he'd be sitting at right now. But I think Viper's sitting very comfortably at rank number 3, rank number 4, potentially. And so I would expect that he would come out victorious there.
Amazing. All right. So, I mean, with that, that's basically completed your predictions. I mean, the main sentiment I'm getting from chat is like, what the hell match are you even supposed to kind of... I mean, if you're... I don't envy everyone, including Lidicor, who's got to choose which games to cast tomorrow from these 256 first-round games starting off. Like, I don't know I don't know who you pick to watch. And the later, when you look at these names in every single bracket, when this gets to... I also should mention, just very quickly for those asking in the chat, GOA and Maito, a lot of people have asked that they're for their own reasons, not able to participate in this, but I will leave it... Like, if you want to ask them. It's not for me to say. Like, a really, really... I mean, when it gets to the end of this tournament, it is just going to be... The games and the names in the final rounds of qualifying, in these best of threes... It's just going to be unbelievable, I think. I mean, if you just by looking at these, just from this one bracket, you can expect to see at the same time, Mixu versus the Viper and Hut versus Zerton playing, simultaneously. It's just wild.
It's going to be pretty huge. There's just so many good games that are going to be happening. My main fear, and I guess this is, I don't know how to describe it, but my main concern is that we're not going to have records of all these games just because of the way that the replay system works at the moment. You've only got a couple of days to actually watch replays. There's no way that you can actually save a replay in Age of Empires 4. So obviously we're going to be able to verify all the victories that happened. But, a lot of these games may go down as some of the first real competitive games that we're able to witness in Age of Empires 4. And it pains me to think that we're not going to be able to capture them.
Well, I think we can use that as a bit of a call to action. So for anyone watching that is both, I think this is like people are watching on your stream as well, right? This is being watched. So this is for everyone watching this. If you are a caster at the end of qualifying, if you want a chance to go and make some premium content, jump in. There's going to be so many premium games that were not broadcast live because it's just simply not possible. And I hope that as many casters and creators as possible, jump in and just cast those replays. Because, like you said, they have to keep these open during the tournament. So they're going to be open for a while. I hope that even after the tournament, there'll be a little bit of honor and players will leave them open for a while. But definitely jump in and try to cast some of those games. There's going to be some games that I think like we we deserve as the community to have records of. Sebastian Adiko calling out saying, thank God for Liquipedia. Yeah, but the question, Sebastian, is whether or not you'll be able to know everything that's happened and remember, but the replays, they're not saved. So unless someone chooses to cast the specific games, either from replays or live, we'll never get to see them. So yeah, like you're saying, I really hope that you're right. With that, I mean, I'm not going to keep you too long because I know you're going to get back. You've got some crushing to do in preparation. I think that you're being very modest, but I have a gut feeling that you are quietly confident of your chances and maybe want to get onto a bit of a grind and see what you can make of your part of the bracket. We can go back to this screen right now, and we'll put it there. And so a very interesting preview. I mean, if anyone watched this preview show on YouTube, I'm going to say goodbye to you guys. Oh, the mic got cut. Oh, Aussie, hold on.
I can hear you. I can hear you because I'm coming.
Yeah, you can hear. They can hear you. You were just being uncharacteristically quiet for a second. I think everyone. Right. I can see the mic moving. We're still good. So or I was being uncharacteristically belligerent. So for anyone watching on, I was just in the transition. It was a transition issue. Interesting. Okay, thank you for that. So for anyone watching on YouTube, we're going to say goodbye to you right now. Remember that you need to tune in tomorrow, 3 p.m. GMT. Lidicor will be casting, and I will be helping him out by taking you through the different games tomorrow, 3 p.m. GMT, Saturday, the 6th of November. If you want to watch players' point of view, both Aussie Drongo and many other players are going to be casting their own point of view. Many others will be casting other games, so feel free to check out whichever caster or player you most enjoy watching. Aussie Drongo will be, I mean, probably in not the best of moods if he heads over to join the cast over here. But should you get knocked out, he will come and join this cast and help out Lidicor taking you through it.